Director for Email Hospitality. So, design thinking for HR leaders is what we're talking about. I'm super happy to be here because Bombay is my hometown. I was born here. I grew up in England and I spent about a few years in the States, and I've been in Dubai for 7 or 8 years. So for those of you who are wondering about the confused accent, that's where it comes from, okay? I feel really passionately about this topic, and in true design thinking spirit, we're going to jump straight into it with a design thinking exercise. So everyone, you have pens and pads on your chairs, right? And what I would like you to do, right, pens and papers ready. I want you to take 30 seconds and design a vase. A vase, a vase, depending on where you're from. So on your piece of paper, promise you it's not a competition. Who's got the best vase? Okay. Yeah, you could have flowers. Now, I'd like you to take 30 seconds and design a way for people to enjoy flowers in their home. Okay, great. And I'd like you to turn to the person sitting next to you, on your left or right. And they say the person who talks is the person who learns. If I'm doing all the talking, I'm doing all the learning, right? So turn to the person sitting next to you and have a quick 60-second conversation about how is the second part of the activity different from the first part. Yeah? Simple. How is the second part different? 60 seconds. Okay, great. It's so easy to get a bunch of HR people talking, right? That's all you have to do. Let them loose. To shut them up, that's the problem. Okay, so can someone share how they thought the second part of the activity was different from the first? Yeah, Billy?
Well, the first one was simple, just an object.
Right.
The second one involved emotions.
Right.
How do people enjoy it? So it's sort of what you should think four-dimensional instead of three-dimensional.
And that's beautiful, Billy, and that's exactly what the exercise was meant to bring out. The first part of the exercise was design a vase, which is around form. The second part of the exercise was design a way to enjoy flowers, which is around the emotions and the experience. Yeah? And sometimes it's more difficult to do experience than it is to do form, right? But I truly believe as HR leaders, we are in the business of designing employee experience. Sometimes we think that we're designing processes, we're designing programs, we're designing policies, but what we're really designing is human experience. Design thinking is a way that will help us do that. And one of the reasons our employee experience is so important is because, as Carol Wayne says, your customer experience will be great if your employee experience is even greater. So let's have a look at design thinking, what it is. What are the 5 mindsets of design thinking? And this is where we'll spend a majority of our time exploring these 5 mindsets, and finally we'll do a wrap up. So, what is design thinking? Show of hands, who's heard of design thinking? Okay, good. And a show of hands, who has intentionally used design thinking? A couple of people, and it's great because we'll get into some of that experience while you're here. So, what is design thinking? Let's establish that first. I used to think that it was product designers, graphic designers, interior designers who all use design thinking, right? Because, hey, they have designer at the end of their job title, so they must be using it. And all of these people have something in common. What is it that they have in common?
Creative.
Excellent, they're creative, right? So in 2006, a company called IDEO studied creative people and how they think. It was a time when a lot of people started talking about the need for innovation. All of you have heard about the VUCA world we live in. It's volatile, it's uncertain, it's complicated like our Facebook statuses, it's ambiguous, and we need to innovate not only to thrive, but we need to innovate to survive in today's world. So IDEO started looking at, well, how do we innovate and how do we solve problems differently? And this is where design thinking was born. It is a fusion between analytical thinking and intuitive thinking. So it takes the best of both those worlds. And here's a definition of design thinking from Tim Brown, the president and CEO of IDEO. And it has 3 parts, so I'll break it down for you. The first part is around design thinking is a human-centered approach to innovation. And if you do not remember anything else, that's one thing that you need to remember. Yeah? It puts humans at the center, and it's around innovation. The second part is around drawing from the designer's toolkit, and that's where they studied creative people. You know what happens when they put those lights off? All of those lights go off also. And I'm really afraid I'm going to hear snoring somewhere. I don't think so. I'm going to keep you busy enough, but that's why. So the second part is about drawing from the designer's toolkit, and the third part is about meeting not only the needs of the people, but also the requirements for business success, right? I'm going to show a little video clip on a documentary, and if you get the time, please watch this documentary. It's awesome. It's around design is the future, and here's a little clip from it. So there are 3 things that I found really interesting in this video. Yep. Firstly, they talk about how as human beings, we all hunger for experience. We hunger for the emotion. And whatever brings us to it, that's what we'll go with. The second thing was around the design-driven companies being user-centric. Yeah? And the third part that he's talking about is the perspective that design thinking takes, or designers take, is they look at the world and they go, why is it like this and not like this? And he mentions at the end that, you know, it's the people who will move towards innovation, who are going with the change, who are the ones that are going to thrive. So in that sense, what I now believe is that we should all be design thinkers. Yeah. Now the question is, how do we get there? How do we all become design thinkers? And there are 5 mindsets that design thinkers use. And as we go through these mindsets, what I'd like you to do is think of an initiative that you are currently involved with. An HR initiative, an L&D initiative, a business initiative, it doesn't matter. Think of an initiative and write it down. So here are the 5 mindsets. Yeah? The first is holistic. Design thinkers take a holistic approach where they raise the altitude of how they look at a problem. When we did that first exercise between the vase and the experience, that's what we did. We raised the altitude, right? And here's a 5-step process from Deloitte of how can we look at something holistically? How can we take a step back? So, for example, when we were looking at our performance management processes, usually we think of the performance appraisals, right? Which is the engagement piece right in the middle. But looking at these 5 stages helped us take a step back and say, well, attraction, what brings people to that experience and what keeps people tuned and coming back? And that's taking a holistic approach. So a holistic approach widens our perspective. The second mindset is to be human-centered, and this means putting people at the heart of the solution. Now, design thinking is sometimes called human-centered design thinking, and for a very good reason, because this is at the very heart of design thinking, is designing user experiences. So, how do you become human-centered? You start with empathy. Let me ask you all this, yeah? What tool do we in HR use the most to understand or to find out about our employees?
Surveys.
Ah, thank you. Yep, surveys. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Surveys do not build empathy, and this was a shocker for me. I mean, I love surveys. I'm surveying people all the time. Yeah? But they don't build empathy. And why do they not build empathy? Because surveys scratch the surface of the iceberg.
It's the root word, survey, surface.
Ah, that's beautiful. I'm going to steal it for my next time.
All surreal.
That's gorgeous. Yeah, they scratch the surface, right? They give us what people have as conscious opinions, but they don't tell us about individual wants, the cultural forces, the psychological and biological needs. 95% of all processing takes place below the surface. Yeah? So, how do we build true empathy? How do we really understand what our users want? Any thoughts?
Yeah. Daily reaction between the manager and the employee will make the manager understand what the employee is based on his daily reaction and daily observation.
Very nice, and you're so good. Let's look at that. You guys are all reading my mind. Yeah. One of the ways is to observe. Yeah. The other way is what you were saying, to engage. And the third way is to immerse. Now, when you look at this, you go, duh, of course that's true, right? If you live the lives that your employees are living, if you immerse yourself in their world, or if you interview them and you're able to ask deeper questions, that daily interaction, or observe them from afar, you'll find out a lot more about them than we ever will through just surveys, right? So here is Paul Bennett, who did a TED Talk. Paul Bennett is from IDEO also. I've dealt with the company a lot, so you see a lot of IDEO here. But Paul Bennett is talking about how IDEO builds empathy with understanding patient experience in a hospital. This is amazing, watch this. So with design thinking, when we're at the phase where we establish empathy and we look at the human-centeredness, we really look at providing videos or photographs or immersing ourselves in that experience and then sharing that with the business. You know? I love what he says at the end in terms of, it's looking at the situation from the employee out versus the organization in. So being human-centered deepens our perspective. The third mindset is around being collaborative. And collaborative is building solutions with people instead of for people. There are two ways that we can do this. One is we can invite users to contribute to the solution. So, who over here has heard of the World Cafe methodology? Yeah, a couple of people. And what can I ask you is the World Cafe? Anyone who's heard of it or used it?
It's a process facilitation where you use different kinds of cultural backgrounds and you have short discussions and you bring the core subject to the center after it's all done.
Excellent. Yeah. It's a process for leading collaborative dialogue and knowledge sharing. Look up worldcafe.org and it has some great ideas over there. So, you know, the World Cafe sets up certain guidelines of how to do a World Cafe. And all of this looks simple, and I mean, to my analytical mind, it looks a bit fluffy too, yeah? Have fun, listen, you know, slow down, link and connect ideas. The surprising fact is that when you set up these expectations, you get so much better collaboration. So in EMAR, we've started using the World Cafe methodology quite a lot, and we call them learning cafes. And when we were redesigning the orientation experience, and I'll give that example as we go along, we invited people to a learning cafe where we said, come and help us come up with the solution. Yeah. So that is inviting users to contribute to the solution, and the second one is set up interdisciplinary teams. Another one that seems obvious, but we forget so many times. I want you to look at that initiative that you have put down and think about who are you missing on your project team? You know, who have you not called to be part of the solution? So at EMAR, when we were looking at the online learning experience for our employees, and you know who we missed out? Yeah, we missed out the employees. We actually did a survey. We missed out IT. Yeah, we didn't include IT in our project team. How silly is that when you think about it, right? So, collaboration strengthens perspective. The fourth mindset is around being experimental. Experimental is about building prototypes. So you take your thoughts and you give them physical shape. Yeah? And you take controlled risks. So let's experiment, everyone. Okay, let's not experiment. This is what happens. There you go. Oh, don't have time to experiment. We are going to experiment. You're going to take 30 seconds and you're going to draw the face of the person sitting next to you. Go. Yeah, take your pens and papers and draw the face of the person sitting next to you. No, don't talk about that face. Draw that face. No, whatever you can do is fine. No, draw that face. Okay. So, for people who did draw the face, share your drawing.
30 seconds.
Okay, great. What I hear is a lot of, you know, laughter, a lot of embarrassed laughter, a couple of people saying, I'm sorry. So here's the point. As human beings, we are deeply aware of imperfection. Yeah? As human beings, we're deeply aware of imperfection, and we don't want to do anything that seems like failure. But with design thinking, we have to fail fast to learn fast. So, experimentation is done through prototyping and frequently iterating. Now, here's a word on prototyping. A slide deck, everyone, is not an employee experience prototype. Yeah? And neither is the first draft of our policies. So what does a prototype look like? A prototype gives physical shape, and let me just share one of our prototypes. When we were redesigning orientation, we wanted to change their experience to be engaged, so we came up with a big board game to convert that workshop into a half-a-day discovery learning experience, and we called it Guestopoly. And Guestopoly took them through booking to post-departure at our hotels, where they went and they found out about these things themselves. That's what our mock-up looks like. We started with literally that. And then we did many, many iterations where we had people use the board game. We found lots of failures. I mean, people became more competitive than we wanted them to. There were too many steps. It took too long, all of this. It took us a few months, but you know, now this board game has been running at Emaar Hospitality Group for 3 years, gets unanimously great feedback. Another way of prototyping is through experience. We wanted people to experience our luxury brands and our different hotels, so we sent them on a bus tour. We forgot that it's 6 months of the year, it's boiling hot, and they all melted. Plus, that didn't really give them a sense of luxury or a feel like a guest experience. So this is what we do now. We do a limo tour with our new employees that come and join us. Yeah. So experimentation refines perspective, and I went too quickly on that. What does this mindset look like? Look at the picture. What do you think this mindset is about? There you go. It's visual. Because the picture does say 1,000 words, and this is the last mindset. This is amazing, everyone. Our brain processes visuals 60,000 times faster. 60,000 times faster. But in HR, do we really use visual thinking? Not so much. We have long, long policies, and when someone doesn't do what's in the policy, we're like, haven't you read the policy? I mean, so we have a lot of text, and the time has come for us, whether it's in solution generation or in conveying, communicating those solutions, to start using visuals. Now, there are so many visuals in design thinking. I couldn't go through them all. There's empathy maps, there's customer journey mapping, there's experience mapping, infographics. But here's a great website that has service design tools. Please go and check it out, and it has all of these lovely visual tools that we can use in our design thinking. So visuals give life to perspective. Those are the 5 design thinking mindsets: holistic, human-centered, collaborative, and visual. And when you're thinking of your initiatives, think about which of these you need to use more of in designing your employee experience, because each of these widens, deepens, strengthens, refines, or gives life to our perspective. So as a wrap-up, I am going to say this, that in human resources, I feel, you've heard of this proverb, right? Sometimes they're so close that you can't see the wood from the trees. Yeah? I feel like these problems of employee engagement or learning and development, we've seen them 100 times before. Yeah? And our problem is that we're so familiar with them. So we have to shift our perspective. And I do believe that design thinking helps us shift that perspective to architect not easy, not only new, not only reliable employee processes, but meaningful employee experiences. So in true design thinking fashion, we're going to close with the last experiment. And here's what I want you to do. Stick your finger to the ceiling. Yep, look up. And after I do it, you follow me. You draw a clockwise circle on the ceiling. draw it clockwise on the ceiling. Yep.
Then you bring it down.
And then, keeping your finger pointed upwards, bring your finger down to your belly and look at it. What direction is it going in?
Perspective.
And sometimes all it takes is a tiny shift of perspective to see something familiar in a totally different light. Thank you.